Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Castro and welcome to another video here on Jacob's Aquarium. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope your tanks are doing good as well. So today I wanted to make a video about a question I got from a customer that emailed my customer service inbox. He asked some pretty unique questions and I thought it'd be cool to talk about on camera because I figured anybody new to the hobby might have the same questions, so I can knock out all those questions from multiple people in one video about this question. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps grow everything that I do and helps justify me spending over $10,000 on camera equipment. Please subscribe, I need your subscription. All right, so this question comes from John Pierre. John Pierre, I'm not gonna say his last name, but you know, so we have some anonymity. I was able to say that, by the way. Last time I could not say anonymity. I'm gonna say it again. Okay, so the email's a little bit broken up, but I'm gonna try to like piece it together pretty much. So he's basically saying, why are his plants dying? He has an undergravel filter, he's injecting CO2, he adds liquid fertilizer, he says his lighting seems to be okay, he has a 90-gallon tank, doesn't have any fish in it yet, and he says occasionally for a couple hours the temperature in his tank rises to 90 degrees. Oh my gosh. So that's his question, and he's included 3 order numbers in his email, so that means he's placed 3 orders with me. I really appreciate that, Jean Pierre. I really do. So, but let me just say right off the bat, you're making several pretty big mistakes when it comes to your Planet Aquarium. So let's dive right into this question and help Jean Pierre out. Okay, so first and foremost, you say that you have an undergravel filter. Let me just say, first and foremost, an undergravel filter, as a fly attacks me, an undergravel filter is not appropriate for a planted tank. I mean, even if you have gravel in your tank and you're growing your plants in gravel, it's still not appropriate because all the undergravel filter is going to do is suck all the nutrients and all the debris that's feeding your plants, you know, the fish waste and everything like that. It's going to suck all that out of the gravel and just distribute it throughout your tank. It's not going to keep it at the base of the plants, you know, where its root systems are, where typically most plants absorb nutrients. There's a lot of plants that don't absorb nutrients through the roots. They're more of like a plant that could grow anywhere on rocks, driftwood, so they mostly absorb it through their leaves or whatever. But there are a lot of plants that are really heavy root feeding plants and they need that. And if you're planning to grow some of those, an undergravel filter is not really the best choice. So what I'd recommend, if you are going to continue using an undergravel filter, that you stick with plants that don't necessarily need substrate, like Anubias and Java fern, you know, rhizome plants basically. But if you are wanting to grow plants that are root feeding plants that really have extensive root systems once they spread out, an undergravel filter is not going to help you at all. So it just depends, but I personally, you know, would recommend that you yank that thing out of there and just use a normal power filter, hang on the back filter, there's multiple names for it, or a canister filter would be ideal for a planted tank, so one of those as well. But for the first mistake I believe you're making is the undergravel filter, so you need to address that part of your tank. Okay, so you said that you add CO2, or sorry, you inject CO2 and you add liquid fertilizer. That's all great, that's really good. I hope that you're doing that accordingly because it depends on if your plants are established or not. You know, it depends on how much you need to inject as far as CO2 goes and how much liquid fertilizer you need to dose based on, you know, if your plants are established. Being that your plants are dying though, like you said in your email, I wouldn't think that they're established. I'm assuming that there's probably not too many established plants in your tank. So I'd recommend that although it's great that you inject CO2 and liquid fertilizer, that you really cut back on that until your tank has had a chance to establish. Because there's nothing worse than injecting a ton of CO2 and adding a bunch of liquid fertilizer when your tank really doesn't need it. All you're gonna basically do is grow algae, and you don't wanna do that. Okay, so you said you have a 90-gallon tank also, and it gets to 90 degrees Fahrenheit occasionally. 90-gallon tanks, by the way, beautiful tank, lots of space to grow plants. You can really do some amazing things with a tank of that size. So I hope you're having fun with it. But 90 degrees, no, you can't do that with a planted tank. I get this question a lot actually, so I'm kind of glad you asked this question in your email, and I'm kind of glad I'm talking about it on camera as well. But typically with a planted tank, you want to stick to a temperature of about 70 to 75 degrees. Anything above that, you're kind of limited with the plants that you could grow. I mean, I've seen Java fern and some sword plants grow in temperatures higher than 80 degrees. But you're very, very limited. There's not too many plants that will survive in temperatures that high. But it makes sense that your plants are dying though, and you said your plants are shredded, so I assume they're just dissolving in your water. That kind of makes sense because a temperature of 90 degrees will basically just cook plants to death or melt them to death. I've seen it happen many times. So I don't know, what your budget's like. I don't know what you're able to do. But if you're not able to control that temperature and your tank is going to get to 90 degrees regardless, I would most definitely recommend that you invest in a chiller. A chiller is commonly used with saltwater aquariums to keep temperatures in an aquarium at a really specific range, because things like corals and saltwater fish are very sensitive to temperature fluctuations that could actually make them really sick. Freshwater fish and plants are sensitive to temperature changes as well. Not as much as saltwater fish, but it can still affect them. But a chiller would really benefit you and help keep your tank at a certain temperature. And like I said, 70 to 75 degrees would be ideal. You can probably get away with 78 degrees, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. A chiller for a 90-gallon tank might be a little bit expensive. Like I said, I don't know what budget you're working with, but if you're unable to control the temperature of your aquarium and it's getting too high to support plant life, a chiller is definitely a must. You won't be able to have a successful planted tank without it. Okay, and last but not least, you said you don't have any fish. Okay. So I assume that you're doing a fishless cycle maybe, so you're not going to cycle your tank using fish, which is fine. But you definitely want to be testing your water to make sure that your tank is cycling, checking your ammonia levels and things like that. If it's not cycling, then you want to add some biological bacteria. They sell that stuff in bottles, pretty much any pet store. But you want to add fish eventually. And I saw that you placed 3 orders of plants. It's a lot of plants. Plants, that amount of plants needs a lot of nutrients. So if you can put fish in your tank, and obviously your plants will benefit from the waste coming from your fish, but it'll also help absorb all the nutrients that you're dosing as well, like the CO2 and the liquid nutrients as well. But like I said, the temperature is very important, so if you can't fix that, don't buy any more plants. You'll just be wasting your money. But you want to add fish eventually. You don't want your tank to be set up for too long without fish. You want to kind of work them in there maybe after the 3rd or 4th week, of your fishless cycle. Okay, so, or just test your water and see where you're at. You could already be ready for fish, okay? But keep all those things in mind. I hope I helped you out. Thank you so much for your question and your orders. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about the hobby as well, please post them in the comment section below or email my customer service inbox on my website, jacobsaquarium.com. And I might just make a video about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really like making these types of videos because it really helps put into perspective, just how many new people there are in this hobby. It seems like a majority of my customers are new to the hobby, and majority of people that email me are new to the hobby, and it also helps people out when I make these videos. So I love doing these videos, so keep the questions coming. I really appreciate it. They're a lot of fun to make. Okay, so like I said in the beginning of this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps grow everything that I do and helps justify the kajillion dollars I spent on camera equipment. And if you're interested in aquatic plants, please visit my website, jacobsaquarium.com, where I have almost 100 different species of aquatic plants to choose from, all at the most affordable price on the internet. The website again is jacobsaquarium.com. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media. All my social media links will be in the description below. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also send me questions there as well about the hobby or whatever. I try not to answer questions about my personal life because I feel that that's irrelevant. Occasionally people ask me things like, are you married? What kind of car do you have? But Try to keep the questions about the hobby, you know, just makes things easier. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love you guys so much. Hope you guys are having a great day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. Have fun with your tanks, and I will see you next time.